Let's listen to Pavarotti.
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I am your host, Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the IDAHO4 case. As a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions. I'm not here to slander anyone. I will provide information and give my opinion on the information I provide. My opinion is mine and mine alone. In this episode, I'm going to respond to Mr. A.R. Hayes. He had some questions for me. He did a video, so we're going to watch a little bit of that video, and I am going to respond to his questions. The only thing that I do ask in return is I have a few questions for Mr. Hayes as well. I hope he will be equally as gracious to respond to the questions that I have for him. So let's get into it.
My mind is just kind of running around. It's dancing from place to place to place. I'm extremely tired. I've been through a lot of treatment. I'm worn down a little bit. But as you know, I've been working on an IDAHO4 series. When, where, who, and why. And as I was thinking today, I became very aware of the fact so many people are intrigued and really reeled in by Pavarotti's theory and the way that he's breaking down his thoughts and opinions when it comes to the IDAHO4 case. He is one of the ones that has gone most in-depth into a theory and done a lot of work to prove that theory. So why not? Why wouldn't I pay a little bit of attention if my mind is really, truly looking to find justice within the IDAHO4 case, not only for the victims, but also even more so for Bryan Kohberger, who's sitting in that defendant's chair being accused of a quadruple homicide that so many are truly unsure of whether he actually committed or didn't. I, within myself, have not come to a conclusion that he was involved in the crime, much less committed it on his very own. But I do have questions, and I think the proper and most respectful way to answer some of the things that I have within my head is to directly ask questions of Pavarotti. Jay Embry, as I kind of know him as both, I guess. I've called him Jay Embry and I've called him Pavarotti. So I like Jay Embry because it feels almost more personable, almost like you're shaking hands with somebody, calling them by their name. But if he likes to go by Pavarotti, then I have to respect him and do that. I just have questions that are based upon his theory, because for me to truly digest and break down my different thought processes when it comes to the who and the why, I need to be able to value the information that's being shared, whether I agree, disagree, don't want to agree, but need to agree. Whatever the case may be, I need to at least hear it. But that means that my critical thinking mind is going to have questions. It's not out of disrespect, and it's not to criticize, it's not to poke him as if he's wrong. And I want people to understand that. I'm glad that he has his opinion and he has his theories, and he's working step by step through that to resolve the situation in his mind and relay that information to others so that they can make the decision on their own on what they want to believe or not believe. We can't control who believes what as content creators. What we can do is speak upon what we believe and what we ourselves have running through us in our opinions and theories. And I do the very same. So I can't put him down, Mr. Jay Embry or Pavarotti, for what he's doing, because I do it my own self when I speak upon my thoughts and my theories. So, in a sense, I've got to shake his hand, congratulate him on the success that he's having, and hopefully in respect, he'll return the favor of answering some of my questions for me so I could weigh out what his thought process is behind everything that goes into his theory. I don't know the entirety of the theory. I'll be honest up front. I've caught bits and pieces of it, and I've got the general knowledge that I believe, the very basics that he's tried to construe, but I haven't been able to watch each and every single video, and that might make me a little more naive to the whole story than others that have been all the way through it. So I hope people can forgive me in regards to that, because if these questions have been answered, then it would be my own fault that I didn't get those answers to be able to digest them and put them into my thoughts. The first thing that I am going to state, however, is obviously many know that Jay Embry and I do not agree when it comes to Kara. So I am not going to speak in regards to Kara in this video or have any questions directed into that aspect of what his thoughts or theory is. Obviously, everybody knows, I know what his thoughts or feelings of those are. Man, those
God bless you, Mr. A.R. Hayes.
always come at the worst of times, don't they? I mean, Jiminy Christmas. But Kara's just a conversation that I'm not going to have. We're going to agree to disagree, and we're just going to leave that one alone within the discussion between the two of us. And I have no questions regarding that whole situation, because the discussion's not going to be a respectful one if we go down that road. So we'll just leave it alone. We'll leave that part alone.
Okay, AR, now in all fairness, we can absolutely leave that alone. I'm not going to bring her up. I've respected your wishes. I haven't even mentioned her name in any of my videos. But I mean, here is my question I have for you. This is an honest question. Because what you're saying now is, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's contradictory to what you have said in the past. So I understand we don't want to discuss this subject. I am curious of what made you change your thinking on this subject, but if you don't want to discuss it, then I understand.
Anything to do with narcotics, especially narcotics when it comes straight down to the family members of some of the victims. We're not talking about one. We're not talking about two. We're not even just talking about three. So if anybody wants to get into a debate that there's no possible way that narcotics are involved in the IDAHO4 case, you better open your ears. You better open your eyes. And you better hear what I have to say. Because it's right there in front of all of you. Did you know not one parent in the IDAHO4 case of the victims, not two parents of the IDAHO4 victims, but three of the parents, maybe more, I haven't found out all as of yet, but I know of three that all have penitentiary prison DOC numbers. What for? Narcotics. And let me explain to you something real quick that should throw up a red flag. And we're going to discuss it, so don't worry. Take a breath and sit back and relax. And if you don't like what you hear, that's because you're a guilter. And you won't open your ears and listen to exact fact. Victim's mother, who I actually advocate for, feel for, and am working to try to help, even though recently she shut me out pushed me away a little bit, which is fine. I get it. It's a hard time for Kara. She's making some on-the-fly decisions. She obviously, back prior to the IDAHO4 case, had also picked up substantial narcotic possession and distribution charges. Very major. She got cut a break and got put on probation. Now, the sad thing about it is not only did she violate, but she picked up new charges. So she just recently was sentenced to the penitentiary, getting her DOC number. They have her in protective custody.
I do, however, want to get into a little bit of the TF situation because I do have some questions in regards to him, his involvement, and then also the potential informant situation that is being portrayed that he's a part of. And I'm not going to say he's not because I don't know, but I do have questions in regards to the research that Jay Embry has done, what he's found, and then what it has helped him decipher the way he feels and what he's relayed to others. And we'll begin there because I think that's important. And I think we'll just go ahead and start there, and then we'll kind of go wherever it goes from there. And if I can get into some other questions, I will. But I want to start with TF and, have a thing, Jay Embry, and followers that may even be able to comment and help me based upon what you have learned for Jay Embry in regards to this or personal experiences that you have. Now, I guess the first thing I need to establish is you have portrayed him to be an affiliated member of a notorious white affiliation. I would just kind of like to know where you come across that TF is literally an AB. He's supposedly an Aryan brother. And I would like to know where it is verified that he's an actual Aryan member. And the reason why I ask this, and it kind of comes from my personal experience in my past, is the fact that, unfortunately, I know the affiliation very well. I don't know all the makeups of the affiliation or the different chapters or, the different breakoffs with the different beliefs than the main Aryan that stems out of California, Arizona, and works itself throughout the West Coast. And I've heard the term being used, I believe, in some of the videos as the Knights or whatever it might be, and I'm presuming that is a Northwest chapter on a smaller scale of what the Aryan affiliation truly is. And the reason why I ask, how do we know he's actually an AB member, is it would be documented, especially somebody that has the extreme history of criminal activity as what TF has. He would have an entire file just based upon his affiliation. They track you. They monitor you every single day, both in the penitentiary and out. And I do also know to be a validated AB member, you had to work your way through the probate system, and you had to work your way up through invitation only of the Aryan Brotherhood. You can't be recruited. You have to actually be invited by decision makers of the affiliation. Now, could it potentially be he's actually deemed to be something by entities like a publisher, a newspaper writer, a Howard Bloom book writer, but they don't legitimately know that he's not Aryan brother. They just deem him to be white supremacist.
Well, newspaper writer and all that, I don't know, AR. I don't believe I've ever seen any newspaper writers writing about TF. As far as I know, I found TF months and months and months back, and I was the only one that ever brought him up. So, but I understand where your line of questioning is going, and I understand what your confusion is, and I'd like to help you with that. So here's what I put together for you just to answer those questions, those specific questions that you have, because they all seem to center around TF and his involvement in the Aryan Brotherhood. So let me explain. Yeah, the best way I know to answer your questions, man, is just to answer them in black and white. Do I believe TF is a full-fledged Aryan Brotherhood member? Yeah, I doubt it. He's probably not a full-fledged affiliated member. He's probably just somebody that has close connections to people that are and are assisting in their trafficking operations, if I wanted to give my honest opinion on it. So dealer with strong connections to that group? Yeah, 100%. Lost a pound, could he afford to lose? I'm about 99% sure he couldn't. So when he was set up and he lost his shipment, I think he owed a lot of money for it. And I don't think he owed it to the right folks. How certain am I that he was a lookout for the atrocity? I'm about 95%, and I have about 100 data points that shows that. But you would definitely have to go back and watch about 30 of my videos to see all those data points. Is he the informant that fingered Bryan? I'm about 99.9% sure that he either fingered Bryan or Kopaka. I honestly believe he's the informant that fingered Kopaka, and the DoorDash driver fingered Bryan. Now, as far as being an informant, do I think that he informed on the AB? 0% chance of that, because there hasn't been any AB that have been arrested for the atrocity on King Road. The only person that's been arrested for the atrocity is a kid named Bryan Kohberger. So do I believe he informed on him or his information led to him? 99.9%. Informant on the AB? No. I believe he informed on Kopaka and Bryan so that he didn't have to inform on the AB. I don't think he's that stupid. Now, was he forced into being the lookout? I'm about 90%. I don't think he went and did all this on his own because he was mad. I think when he went back to Spokane after losing his shipment and everybody was convened there, well, he didn't have much of a choice. Now, do I believe his close associate right here is an affiliated member? Yeah, I do. I'm about 95% sure that this guy right here, who's a close associate of TF, is a heavily affiliated AK member. And he owns a home in Coeur d'Alene and Julian, Idaho. So I believe he's the key to, once the narcotics come across the Idaho state line from Washington over there in Spokane, I think he uses his two different residences as easy storehouses for trafficking from Coeur d'Alene down to Julian and then on to Boise. And why do I feel that way? Well, if you look at his record, he spent decades in prison for things like assault, burglary, trafficking narcotics, intimidating witnesses, assaulting law enforcement personnel. Yeah, I'm going to say if you want to dive into one and check your connections, MB here is the most likely affiliated member in this group. Now, does that mean he's 100% affiliated with a prison gang to mean that this doesn't work? Not at all. Let's take a look at the Aryan family. Okay, so what we have here is a list of 27 of the 28 members of the Aryan family that was taken down in March of 2023. And these are the ones listed in the indictment. Now, I highly doubt that every single one of these 28 people are affiliated members of the Aryan family prison gang. In fact, when I look at names like Gustavo Castellanos Tapia, Isaac Cervantes, Celi Morales, Anthony Escoto, I doubt they're white supremacists involved in the white supremacist prison gang. They're probably more into the Spanish gangs. But I think a good portion of these folks probably are affiliated members. But when you get outside of the prison walls, all of that affiliation stuff, I'm sure is still important, but it's not near as important as trafficking operations. Most of these people on this list aren't affiliated members. They're just associates in their trafficking organization, and we're caught up with them. So do I think the major decisions are still made from the prison cells? Yes, I do. And I think I know who would have called the shot on a hit, or approving it anyway, for the IDAHO4 atrocity. And I think their role would have mainly just been to give the okay for the hit and get a kickback of some of the money that they were paid to do the hit. And if you wanted me to give you my interpretation or my strong opinion of who would need to be investigated for the IDAHO4 crimes as of today, now my opinion may change if more information comes out, but here's where I'm at in my investigation. If I was going to give you my opinion today and say, feds, go investigate these folks, I think these are the real culprits, I'll tell you who I believe they are. In my opinion, the most likely candidates for being the culprits are Gil, Slocum, and Cervantes. All three of those associated, not necessarily affiliated, but associated members of the Aryan family that fled to Arizona after the atrocity, but was caught in Washington on December 9th, 2022. In their possession was a 2022 BMW Model M. I believe they were up from Arizona in Spokane during the trial of the Fetty Bros. And I believe the Fetty Bros made enough money during their small run as traffickers to be able to afford to hurt the people that put them away. And they were absolutely the type of people that if somebody informed on them and put them away, they would go after their families to make them pay. I believe they forced, in a sense, TF to be their lookout and assist in the operation. And I believe some kickback money may have been given to some local law enforcement agents to help in covering things up. Now, there's many, for some reason, content creators out there that, they want to do their best to try to debunk everything that I say. And I say more power to them. The ones that have tried to debunk it have done a very poor job. But if somebody is able to debunk it, wonderful. There's no reason to be snarky about it if you do. Let me know. You give me strong evidence that I'm in the wrong direction. I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm going to cross that off my list and go in another direction in the investigation is all. Because all I'm here to do is find the truth. And the truth is this. There is no way that Bryan Kohberger inside of, I've taken, when seen his vehicle in the neighborhood making the turn, he would literally have had to spend less than 6 minutes inside a 2-story house to annihilate 4 individuals with a knife silently. That's impossible. So there's no way that kid did it. So that leaves somebody else did. And I have seen zero evidence that it was frat boys, that it was the ex-boyfriend. In fact, there's nothing. They got into a fight that night. Okay, well, explain if they got into a fight, then why did the other 3 be eliminated? Oh, well, can't do that, can you? Oh, it's an ex-boyfriend was mad. Okay, well, why did everybody else? Because here's something that everybody seems to forget. These unalivings, if we believe law enforcement's determination of the crime scene, which I happen to do, by the way, then that tells me that 2 of them were unalived in their bedroom with the door shut, and 2 of them were unalived in their bedroom with the door shut. That means, and I'm just going to let y'all in on something here, folks, because I hear it all the time. Why did, they didn't have to go upstairs was the statement by Steve G. These are targeted attacks are the statements by law enforcement. It does not take a rocket scientist to figure out what they mean by those statements. Let me just tell you, when they say it is a targeted attack and they did not have to go upstairs, that means the assailant walked in on the second floor. He could have just went to one bedroom, committed the unalivings, and then left. He could have left that bedroom, went to one of the other roommates' rooms and committed more unalivings, but he didn't. So when they say it was a targeted attack, it's because he didn't go to one bedroom, commit unalivings, and then leave or go to the other roommate's bedroom. He specifically went past the other roommate's bedroom, or they did. They specifically went past the other roommate's bedroom, up the stairs to a room where there was two more individuals, unalived them, and then left. That is what they mean when they say this was a targeted attack, because those two rooms were targeted. Wasn't the house, it was the individuals in those two rooms. That's why it was a targeted attack. That's why Steve G said they didn't have to go upstairs, because he was referring to the fact that it was a targeted attack. See, they didn't have to go upstairs because they could have went into another roommate's room on that floor. They could have went out the back door. No, they didn't. They chose to go upstairs, bypass the roommates, and eliminate the two up there. It's the two rooms that were the targets. And in my opinion, it was the residents of those two rooms. And that's what they mean when they say targeted attack. There's no other way an investigator would look at that scenario and determine it was random, okay? That's what they mean. But now that I've answered those questions, I mentioned I had a few questions for you. And I've made it really clear and really simple, and I've written them down for you. Hopefully you will give me the dual respect of answering the questions I have for you as well. Now, number one is, who is the most capable and the most experienced to commit a quadruple homicide with blades and get away with it in a matter of minutes? And I think you would agree that committing this atrocity with blades is a specific skill set that only a small segment of the population has experience with. Law enforcement has never, in my understanding, unalived people with blades. Most of the time, even the military hasn't. The only group I know of that has is people in prison. So it's a multiple choice. Would you say the most likely and capable and experienced to do this would be A, a college student, B, a couple of frat boys, C, a jealous boyfriend, or D, seasoned former inmates? Answer that one honestly, please. And then question number two is, you used to have a strong belief that the Aryan family, specifically Jesse James Bailey, had a role in the atrocity. Do you still believe this? And if not, what have you seen or heard that made you believe otherwise? Because you know what, AR? I believe you were one of the first people that I heard bring up the Aryan family and Jesse James Bailey possibly having a connection. I never bought the $700,000 in drugs flushed down a toilet. I mean, if they had flushed $700,000 worth of drugs down the toilet, then I would say that DM would be the likely unaliver, because she would be so mad that they used that much water, and her water bill would have been about $2,000 to flush that much, that she probably would have, lost her mind and did in her roommates for wasting so much water. But other than that, when I dove into this scenario, I could not unvet it. So can you answer this question for me, please? Look, AR, man, I obviously like you, or I wouldn't continue to engage with you. So it's just, here's the thing, man. And I can't help but feel this way, because I really used to watch all of your videos, and man, you were inspiring. I mean, you had so much passion about the things you were discussing. I mean, I thought it was wonderful. I really enjoyed your videos. And it just seems like something happened along the way where you either lost your passion or, maybe I know you've been going through some health issues, and man, I promise you, I pray for you all the time. And maybe that's what's, seems like it's caused it, or I mean, I really believe that, you've learned something that's kind of made you think otherwise. But it's the passion, man. When I think back to the A.R. Hayes that I know and love, here's what I hear in my mind every single time.
So if anybody wants to get into a debate that there's no possible way that narcotics are involved in the IDAHO4 case, you better open your ears. You better open your eyes. And if you don't like what you hear, that's because you're a guilter and you won't open your ears and listen to exact fact.
Now, I agree with those statements, and that's how you used to feel. So what the heck has made you not that passionate or make you not feel that way anymore, AR? Did you learn something? If you did, let us all know. But I hope I answered your questions. Thank you for engaging with me. I have nothing but respect for you, brother. And for everyone else out there, please like and subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, thoughts, criticisms. Till next time, Pavarotti's out.